I think it's a tricky one because of what a lot of Black Americans, I say Black Americans, I know there's some Black people in the UK that probably that feel this way too, but I'm going to say Black Americans for now. The reason why this is a tricky one, it's like a tricky one that they have created, right? The issue I have with this is that um, this is what happens when you have a world where the word black is too much of a catch-all for everything, right? You're dark skin, you're black. You got two black parents, you're black. You got one black parent, you're black. You got one mixed black parent, and then you're black, right? Like the word black, I think sometimes has become too much of an umbrella term. And then when you and because of that umbrella term or that umbrellaization of the phrase, you now get situations like this where this biracial woman that doesn't present, she doesn't look black. You probably wouldn't know that she's biracial unless she told you or unless you saw a picture of her dad. Now we have a world now the usage of that word creates weird situations like this, where it's like, oh, but wait there. I thought if you were biracial, I thought if you were mixed race, you're just black. Now, now, enter Pandora's box. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, that's one perspective I have about this. The other thing, like I read a lot of the comments and I read a lot of the feedback as well, or responses from different people, even including her, right? Like I think there's one point where she says, "Oh wait, before I get into that, another thing that I find ridiculous is this whole distinction between who says it? Somebody says, not only are you white passing, but you have a black dad, because there's this idea that if your mum is black, you're more black than if your dad is black, which it to this day I don't understand that distinction. I don't understand why that would matter. Who says it? There's someone here that says it. Is it in? Oh wait, no, it's in the original tweet. I think it is, right? Yeah. As a biracial woman who clearly presents as white, it's your responsibility to understand how your identity is perceived, and trying to criticize a black woman for not accepting you into their black event because you're mixed and your father is black is nasty behavior. Good luck. Like this, when I read this for the first time, as soon as I read and your father is black, bro, like I almost just turned to dust, like as if Thanos just came down and just snapped his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet, and I just started disintegrating into particles. Like I couldn't believe that. But your mixed black never made sense to me personally. I mean, like the thing is, the reason why I think this is the reality is, right, is that at the end of the day, it is true that this biracial woman will not get the same treatment as a fully black woman who presents as black. That's just reality, right? So because of that reality, there is a different treatment that this woman will get versus a black woman or fully black woman, right? That's just reality. But the issue I have is that when we now pretend, or maybe I shouldn't say pretend, is when we say things like, if you're biracial, if you're mixed, you are just as black. I think that what I'm fine with a biracial person who identifies as more black than whatever the other side is, right? Whether it's the culture that they grew up in, whether it's just what they relate to, or what they like, for whatever reason. There could be a multitude of reasons why a person gravitates more to towards identifying more with their black side, right? And I think that's fine. I think that if you're a biracial person and you identify as more black than anything else, that's cool. But the issue I have is when other people look at you as a biracial person and say either, oh, you're biracial, you're just black. And then another side can say, oh, you're biracial, you're not black. I think there's two extremes, and I think the solution for that, for me, in my opinion, and I don't mean to say that this is an easy solution, but if I could wave a magic wand and encourage biracial people to think a certain way, the waving of that wand would be like, just say you're biracial and that's fine. Just claim both and that's fine. If you claim both, that usually will give way to a more nuanced position or perspective of your identity. If you understand that you are half black and half white, then that should bring about some understanding that you may not be treated exactly the same as a black person and as a white person, or as a white person, right? So, yeah, I just think that it's fine to just be like if a biracial person said, I'm not black and I'm not fully black and I'm not fully white, I'm just biracial, which a lot of them do that. I think doing that creates way less headache than when you do something like this. When you look like this and you're straight up just saying, I'm black, or I'm just as black as any other black person. Now you're just creating a world where it's like you're inviting the pushback at that point, you know? So yeah, I don't think that this is as crazy as some other people might think, but I think the reasons why I don't think it's as crazy is might differ towards other people. I think I have a hot take on this, but I'm at work at the moment. Okay, I'm curious to see. I'm quite curious because yeah, I don't think that. I think even you would agree that at the end of the day, whatever she feels and whatever she identifies as, the world is going to treat her a different way. Wherever she goes, I'm sorry, but this person, nobody is going to treat this person, whether it's stereotypes, whether it's like just guesses, whether it's like where are you from? Oh, that girl's probably from Europe or something like that. Whether it's assumptions, whether it's beauty standards or whatever, right? There's so many areas where she would not get the same treatment or the same assumptions as a black person would. It's just that's just a harsh reality. Like no matter, regardless of her being biracial or not, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm curious to know what your perspective is on that. But yeah, but some of the responses as well. I literally can't. A black man from the UK, of course, you would say some stupid ass shit like this. Mixed man, and I didn't say anything stupid. Oh, straightening hair is not racially exclusive, so I'm not sure what your point was here. Straightening hair. Maybe there's more context I'm missing. Question, is she allowed to say the N-word? Well, I don't, I know, I see you've put allowed in like quote marks. So like, I would agree with that. I would agree with because I don't really adhere to this allowed thing, right? Like, I guess it depends what you mean by allowed. Do you mean that should she be able to say it without backlash, or is that what you mean? Because obviously anyone is allowed to say anything. It's just whether or not the person saying it is going to receive a certain kind of backlash or not, right? That's what we're really exploring. I think if the question is should she be able to say it and not get backlash or not get like a side eye kind of response, then the answer is, I think in most cases the answer is going to be no. Like if she would walk in, like, and it just heavily depends on where, right? Perhaps in a place like New York, it's more acceptable because in New York they're way more this kind of thing is way more acceptable in New York. But like in the south of America, like Atlanta or something like that, perhaps not. Maybe in the West Coast, perhaps not. You know, it's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think me and you have the same view on the word, but yeah, socially, should she get backlash? Um, I don't know whether I don't know whether I want to say if she should. I think I know that she will. I can say that if the question was socially, will she get backlash? My answer is 100% yes. If another question is, should she? I think maybe if I marinate my mind on this topic a bit more, maybe I'll change my perspective. But currently, my answer to should she get backlash is also yes, because most people looking at this person, most people looking at this person wouldn't think that this person is biracial. Most people. And so, because most people wouldn't think that, if most people saw her just straight up willy nilly saying the word, there's going to be a natural, like, wait, hold on, what's going on? You know what I mean? And obviously, when I say most people, I mean like in America. Does she need a 23 and me card? Yeah, some I don't know. But the thing is, it's a funny question, but like some people might try to argue that or say that in a jokey way. But even then, I think that, bro, I've seen so much. I know that there's people, even if she walked around with a t-shirt or a dress that had a picture of her dad and it says a giant arrow pointing to her dad and it says, "This is my dad, by the way," right? And then she's saying the N-word. I think there's still people that will have a problem with it. You know, maybe not as many, but there's still people that will find some kind of way like, oh, I don't care how black your dad is, you're too white passing. You're too white passing to say that word, you know? And then you got the other plot twist of, oh, well, actually, the reason why I don't want you saying it is because your dad is black. Your mum, if you're wearing a dress of your mum showing your black mum, right, then I wouldn't have a problem. But I don't even believe that to be the case. I think that for the people don't want to admit it, but the like there can be all kind of like mental gymnastics about why she can't say it, right? Like when it comes to all the arguments of people saying why she can't say it, they can backflip and cartwheel and American teleport all they want, but the real reason why they have a problem with her saying it would be because she is too white passing. That's it. And so I wish more people would just say that. You know, just say you look too white, so I'm not comfortable with you saying the word because you look way too white. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is. But I'm sure there's other angles on this as well that I didn't read. Exactly. Look, but you're stomped Kamala. Oh, stamped Kamala. Fuck out of here. Who is yours? Shut the fuck up and go find some business. How should she present? Oh wait, look at you guys coming. I should put this on the thing. How should she present as black? Is it how she's dressed? Is it how she dresses? Should she be wearing a wig? Answer that. I mean, that's a question. That's a question. I'm gonna entertain this response by saying one way she could make an effort to present the fact she's biracial is by embracing her curly hair, which says she straightens every day and it's unbrushable. You don't know that. You don't know that. What do you mean? So this is oh my god, this is one of the most ignorant things I've ever read. How do you know that her hair is not naturally like this? What? They're just straight up assuming that, oh, because she's got a black parent, her hair must be curly to some degree, and that the fact that her hair is not curly here must mean that she straightens it, and therefore she's casting aside her blackness. Do you know the significance of phenotype as it relates to race? But the phenotype, I don't think phenotype is in reference to hair texture. Phenotype is more about bone structure. So I don't know what this person's on about. So am I white because I hate my curly hair? Or do I get my blackness back because I wear braids all the time? Low IQ comprehension. I don't know who this Tory One Kenobi guy is. I just said the same dumb shit as you. Why is there black only Tories to begin with? The media has so brainwashed about racism. They've talked you back into self-segregating when your ancestors fought to end segregation. Everything is black only now in the black community, literal self-segregation. Black women don't want to play with you degenerate men who think racist jokes and sexual harassment is just a normal part of game culture. It's called a safe space where they can talk amongst themselves and not be verbally abused by widows. I'm not against safe spaces. I think they can be good, and there's definitely value in them. So I don't have too much to say about that, but I don't know how this safe space was implemented. But and then also when you have a safe space such as being black, like you can enter the space if you're black, that now paves the way for these kinds of situations, especially if the criteria to enter is just to identify as black or to be black, and if being black also includes being biracial. Now you have a situation where this person who has a black parent looks like this, and another person who has a black parent might look way more black passing, and then in this situation, the second person would be able to get into the space, and then she wouldn't, even though they have the same exact parentage, as in like one black parent and one white parent, which is that's a weird thing to like traverse as well. Notice she says she don't want to play with men. Nothing about playing with white. Yeah, yeah, true. Oh, the Tory person is a woman. Oh, yeah, yeah, I see. I think I just saw Tory and I just assumed like Tory Lane's like a male name, but I guess I think typically Tory is a guy's name. I think anyway. So this is the person they're saying is black. Is this her? Oh, she's British. Yeah, yeah. It just I think a lot of this comes down to just people not wanting to have very honest and difficult conversations, which I believe are worth having. I think it's worth exploring, just notion of blackness and how it relates to biracial people, especially when they present in this way, right? Like not all biracial people are born looking like, J. Cole or Ebro from Hot 97 or even Drake, right? Like there's going to be so many different kinds of complexions and 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 presentations of being biracial. And I think a lot of people are not ready for the hard reality of what do we now do when you have a safe space designed for only black people to enter, but then some people also say that biracial people are just as black as a full black person, so biracial people can enter the space, but then this person who is also biracial cannot enter the space because of how she looks, even though she's got the same exact parental makeup as the other biracial person who came out looking like J. Cole or Ebro. Do you know what I mean? I think most people are not ready to have that conversation. Yeah, it's just, uh, it's a rough one. It is indeed a rough one. But yeah, I think this conversation is super interesting. It it being interesting or not hinges on like how how far and how willing to explore each angle that the person I'm talking to is. And I think this is part of the reason why I don't really use Twitter much for any engagement. Like I used to a long time ago, but I just don't I don't mean to make it sound like I'm above it or something, but it's mostly because I just find it hard to take such a large amount of time to like go back and forth and stuff. But partially why it's hard for me to do that is because I just don't often see um I just don't often see the kind of exploration I would like to see for me to want to go back and forth. Would you say that most people on the left are saying she isn't black passing? That's a good question. I guess you'll probably know because I'm assuming you've like dived into all of the responses and stuff. I'm guessing you probably know, but my guess would be, would I say most people on the left are saying she isn't black passing? My guess is yes, because no matter how left the person, yeah, my guess is yes. No matter how left the person is, you would just have to be delusional to like whoever it is, even outside of political affiliation. I think any person that says that she is black passing, yeah, like any person that says that this individual is not white passing, I think they are smoking a concoction of a myriad of different kinds of drugs, and I would be concerned for the safety of their body, because there's no way, there's absolutely no way that this person, like, you would have to be extreme. You would have to be just so left that you're just rotating extremely quickly. Like, you're so spun left. You're just Rashid spinning mixer. That's what you're doing. You're spinning mixer, spinning mixer. That's what you are. You have to be Mr. Spinning Mixer if this person is not considered to be white passing. I just realized my YouTube audio is not on. She deleted these pictures after being called out, but her dad and his parents are Indo-Caribbean. It's funny she doesn't claim her white side, her mum, or her Indian side, her dad. She deleted these pictures after. Hold up, that man looks fully Indian. Wait, is this about, is this Kamala Harris, or are they talking about? No, they must be talking about the girl, right? But again, this is super complex as well, because there's so much mixing with a lot of like Caribbeans and stuff, and like Trinidad and the Indian people. People are just not. That's why the umbrella term of black, or the over simplification of it is just, is rough. Oh, she's a Twitch streamer as well. So that should be mentioned then. If you don't phenotypically look black, then you're not allowed, even if you're biologically part black. So that way, there's never any further confusion in the future. Just solve the problem for the Tony host. What's this in response to? I generally don't understand how, if someone has a black parent and a white parent, how someone else can decide for you whether or not you present as white or black. I have a half black daughter. My eyes have been opened to a whole new angle of discrimination, truly disgusting. Explain to me how how individual perception of someone can be what the facts are. If the birth certificate says someone is half black, just because someone appears more white than black doesn't mean they aren't black. Nobody is arguing that, though. We know she is mixed, but she wanted to join a black woman's space when she phenotypically looks white. The black woman said no, and her Karen side showed her entire ass on Twitter. So what you're telling me is you can be 50% black, but if you look too white, you're not allowed. This is it. This is basically the issue. This is what is being explored, and the answer to this question is, for a lot of people, going to be yes, and a lot of people are not going to like that, but unfortunately, that's just the reality. Like, I don't know how else to comprehend that. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. The response to this, I haven't read the next tweet. The response to this should be yes. Like, unfortunately, yes, that is what's being said. So the response is, I can't help you understand. If you don't understand phenotype, and Becky clearly doesn't have the phenotype of a black woman, but your daughter does. I mean, they also could have just said yes in response to the question and then went on to say that. Because I think this person is just looking for a direct answer to that. So that should be mentioned then. If you don't phenotypically look black, then you're not allowed, even if you're biologically part black. So that way, there's never any further confusion in the future. Just solve the problem for the Tony host. Yeah, that's what should, as uncomfortable of a requirement as it may be, I think that's probably what's gonna need to happen. not they shouldn't, because a safe space for black, huh? Not, is it no? No, they shouldn't, because a safe space for black women should not be hard to comprehend. You don't get to decide she isn't black because she doesn't have the phenotype of a black person. There's a lot here as well. Because clearly there's like a social distinction. There's a social thing going on, and then there's like a biological thing going on as well that I don't think they're realizing. I voice note my question. Oh, okay, I'll play it in a sec. You don't get to decide she isn't black, blah, blah, blah. It's not our fault she looks white. We wouldn't have known she was mixed if she didn't come crying on Twitter about not being allowed in a black woman's space. Well, that's wrong, and I don't agree with basically telling someone to kick rocks, even if they are of black heritage, because they have the phenotypes of a white person. She's still a woman of color at the end of the day, no matter how you want to slice it. But yeah, yes and no, though, right? Like a lot of women of color are treated as such in the universe, in the world, right? And this person is going to get a very different kind of treatment in the world. So her being also a woman of color or a biracial woman it leads to very different results, oftentimes different results than a black woman. Like that clearly presents as a black woman with no debating around it. Let me play the voice note before I forget.
So my thought process when I think about ideologies, and I'm not really good at this sort of stuff. That's why I was asking you when it comes to political kind of like actions, right? I'm thinking a left person will be like, well, the most important factor in this discussion is the safe place, right? And I think a lot of people, when they're ideologically driven, start from the conclusion. They start from what they want to be the conclusion. So if a left person wants black people to have a safe space, they have to argue, no matter how absurd the fact is, that she should not be allowed in black spaces because black people are upset about it. If that makes sense, like their priority is to make minorities happy, and to make minorities happy, she would have to go with the black people saying that she doesn't belong in this black-only tournament. So that's what I was saying. Do you think the left people is it majority leftist people that are saying that, oh yeah, she shouldn't be allowed in this black space sort of thing?
Yeah, again, I can only guess, but based on based on this topic and what I've seen of it and how I've seen it being explored and how people the different perspectives on it are, based on that, my guess would be that even the most left-leaning person would have to concede or have to contend with at least the reality that she does not present as a black woman. And because of that, I think the answer to your question, my answer would be yes, right? Wait, how did you phrase it again?
Is it majority leftist people that are saying that, oh yeah, she shouldn't be allowed in this black space?
Yeah, I think I can't say if it is or isn't a majority. I think it should be, though. I think the majority should be saying that, like, it should be a case where they say, listen, we know this sucks, and we know this is going to make you feel bad, and we know it doesn't feel fair, but for these reasons, like these multiple reasons, this is why we think that you don't pass. You just don't pass to be part of the safe space, right? It's just, and the thing is, I truly believe that this kind of discussion can be had with a person like this person. Her name's Becky, right? I think her name is BeckyJoo. I think it's possible for this very difficult discussion to be had, and then by the end of it, you know, assuming that the discussion is had with care and that they're not trying to shit on her and they're not trying to be mean and harsh and all that stuff, I think it's possible for a person like Becky to come out of this discussion and be like, okay, you know what? I get it. I do understand it. Like, it does hurt and it does feel unfortunate for me to have gone through this, and this experience maybe has taught me that, you know, all of the different sides of like blackness and how people, what people's perspectives are on it. But I think it's possible for her to come out of it and be like, I understand why a lot of black people do not want me in the space, and I'm fine with it, right? Like, I think it all comes down to how the discussion is had and how much vitriol is thrown, or how caring, and how just how the discussion is like transpires. You know what I mean? Because because do you know why I say this quite confidently as well? Is because I know that there are other biracial people who do present like this Becky person, who will they will understand that, they will just understand. Listen, like, because of how I look, I'm gonna get treated differently. So if I try to enter these black spaces, I'm gonna get a bunch of side eyes, and so I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. I don't want to create that awkwardness, and so and also I do understand that because of how I look, you know what I mean, because of how I look, I am not going to get treated in the same way that other black people who do present as fully black are treated. And so because of this understanding that I have, as much as it sucks and as difficult as it may be, I have to contend with that reality, and so therefore I'm not going to put myself in this space. Do you think right? Do you think right ideology pushes you to either side of the argument? In my head, I think it doesn't. In my head, I think it doesn't, but could be wrong. Right ideology? You mean like right as in politically? Like, are you saying, do I think being on the right ideologically pushes you to either side? Is that what you're saying? Or politically? Uh, Good question. I'm not actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do I think that being on the right makes a person more or less likely to like, does being on the right make a person more likely to be on one side versus the other? Um, I don't know. I think if I'm shooting from the hip, I think my answer is going to be being on the right would make you perhaps even more likely to be on the side of, well, she doesn't present as black, because because of the other kind of because of like common perspective that people on the right may have, right? Like, people on the right are more so concerned with what is like the hard reality, you know, whether it goes into like, you know, trans issues, LGBT stuff, religious stuff, right? I think that it's more likely the case that a person that's right leaning is going to be like, well, like, I think a right leaning person is more likely to kind of avoid all the theatrics and to avoid all the acrobatics and be like, okay, show me the person. Who are you talking about? Who's the biracial woman that we're talking about, right? Like, let's say the person on the right, they they're told about the topic, but they haven't seen the woman yet. They haven't seen this Becky person, right? So they know about, oh, there's this debate going on about whether this woman is allowed in a black space or not, right? And then the right-leaning person's like, okay, show me what you're talking about. And then if they're shown this picture, I think a lot of right-leaning people will be like, well, but look at her though. She does. If you didn't tell me she was biracial, I would never have thought that. And then they'll just be like, yeah, of course she shouldn't go into the black space. She doesn't look black. I think that's what most people would say. Oh, what's going on, AC? Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. This happened like yesterday, or like very recently. Basically, this person is a Twitch streamer, and I guess they play Call of Duty. That's one of the games they play. And online, there's a black space, or there's like I guess there's like a streaming group or maybe a Discord group where it's only for black women who play Call of Duty, I think, right? Or is it? Or is it just black people? Wait, let me get this right. Is the space for black women or black people? It's your responsibility to understand into their black event. I think it might be black people. I'm not sure. But either way, she was not allowed. I guess she was barred from entering the black safe space because although she's biracial, she doesn't optically present as black or even biracial for most people. And so she made a post just saying that that it's unfortunate that she has to prove her blackness, right? Like this is it. Oh, the criteria is black women, right? So this is the post that went up. So I guess this person tweeted or DM'd her to explain why she's not allowed in the space. So I guess before this message, maybe she asked, yo, why am I not allowed? And then the person responded, the criteria is black women. The reality is that she presents as white. This girl clearly has the privilege a lot of us don't. She don't have to think about her race as a potential disadvantage or source of discrimination. It's not fair, but our world is structured in a way that benefit. Honestly, I actually agree with this. Like, this is it. This is why people are going to have a problem with her being in the group, and clearly this is why they're not going to allow her in. Right? So then her response is, I don't tweet as it is, but never did I think to ever make a tweet like this. Having to prove if I'm black enough and then being told I'm not black enough to play a tourney that is for black presenting women is insane. After sending family pictures, by the way, what's next? My birth certificate validating this, which states mixed white and black Caribbean on top, by the way. My whole life I've experienced racism, but I've never experienced it from the black community, I'll tell you that. Being told I had it easy is fucking disgusting, considering what I'm literally experiencing right now. Growing up as a mixed race individual was not easy, always feeling like we didn't fit in, and I think this today is proof of that. And you know what? I think this is key. Another reason why I think I would often champion biracial people to just claim, say you're biracial and just say you're both black and white is because I do believe that biracial people have unique issues. They have sometimes they have unique identity issues where they're never black, they're not black enough to be black and not white enough to be white. And those are unique issues that a full black person or a full white person is not going to have. And I think there is value in highlighting those issues, right? And I'm not here to say that she didn't have it easy. I think people saying that it's unfair because you don't know her life experience, right? But yeah, I think that this message here is fine. And I know it's rough because she's basically being kicked out of a space that she feels like she should be able to enter. But I think in most cases, I'm sorry, the reality is that most people in this world would not even have any clue that you were biracial or black in any way. And there's just a reality that comes with that, you know what I mean? Oh shit, I missed the message. I think someone on the right would say, show me the 23andMe, because they care about reality just like transgenders. Some of them, but I think a good contingent of them will be like, regardless of the 23andMe, like the world, like even when you don't, most people's reality is going to be this. The 23andMe is not going to make them feel differently. The 23andMe will show them some factual DNA breakdown of what they're looking at or what's going on behind the curtain, right? But the fact of the matter is, this is what they see in front of their eyes. And so I think their perspective is going to be based on that for the most part. So she doesn't pass as biracial. Identity crisis has been around since day. Sad times. Yeah, you're right. I would say it's down to her to send validation. I would say don't get upset. Proof is key. It's normal. You don't look like what you say. It's normal. Yeah. And she sent the proof. She's got a picture of her dad. I think there's another tweet. I saw the picture. She shares a picture of her dad. And yeah, like if you see her dad, you would nobody would ever be confused as to whether he was black or not. Like her dad is looks like you, same complexion as you, or pretty much everyone, like me, C4, and you. Again, I think most people are not they're either not mature enough or they're not willing enough to really explore this conversation because there are some uncomfortable realities and truths surrounding it, right? And some of those uncomfortable realities and truths involves some people, some biracial people, not like them being excluded. And nobody wants to exclude somebody, right? Especially somebody that has a whole black parent and probably have a lot, going to have a lot of black people in their family. Nobody wants to say that to someone. But this is what happens when you have things such as, safe spaces, and then when you have the whole biracial situation and how people present differently, and then you have the issue of the one drop rule. Some black people will say, as long as you got one drop of black blood in you, that makes you black, regardless of what we see, regardless of how you present on the surface. You got a black parent, you got black blood, then you're black. Which, if you have that ideology, then that leads to very uniquely difficult and strange situations as well, such as this, right? Because at the end of the day, two different people with one drop of black blood may come out completely differently, right? And because they come out completely differently, like they look completely different, that is going to mean that they're going to have the world is also going to treat them differently, I need to see some right-wing people talk about this. I think they would care about the biology rather than the presentation, just like gender. They might do. I'm not putting my foot down on my perspective. I'm just making a guess. I really don't know. That's just my guess based on what I'm seeing, or based on I guess it's just a feeling that I have. Meaning anyone can say they are this or they are that. They need to prove it if they need to get into a place. No, but the issue though, AC, is that she did prove it. She proved that she is biracial. But the problem is that her proving her biracialness, or her proving that she has a black parent, it wasn't enough to get her into the space, because at the end of the day, she doesn't look black. That's flat out. That's basically what's going on. She essentially doesn't look black enough, so they didn't allow her into the safe space. That's literally what's going on. And because of that, because she proved it, and the proof not mattering, that means that the optics, how somebody presents, is really what's being explored. That's really the issue. And that's why I said it is tricky and it is unfortunate, because this same girl, this Becky person, oh, here's her dad. That's her dad, right? This same girl, this same Becky person could have been born, and she could have been born with his complexion or slightly lighter, and then nobody would question it. Nobody would question whether she's biracial or not, because the way she came out, she looks like how a lot of biracial people look. You know what I mean? But the reality is not every biracial person is going to look that way. And bro, like some, this is why it's extra tricky as well. Some biracial people present, like they might have whiter skin than her, or skin just as white as hers, but they have more of a black phenotype. Like their facial features present, like you can see it. Some people look, they look more white, but they have more of a black phenotype, to the point where people would look at them and be like, oh yeah, that person must be mixed with, or one of their parents must be black. Because you can tell that they're not just a white person. They're not a fully 100% white person, because typically white people are not going to have that kind of phenotype. You know what I mean? And then that makes it trickier, because now you have a situation where, would a person who is biracial, who has whiter skin than her, but has much more of a black phenotype than she does, to the point where people would look at that biracial person and be like, sure, their skin is white, but they're clearly half black. Would that biracial person be denied from the safe space now? And whether the answer is yes or no, each answer creates a unique situation too. You know what I mean? Because whether a person says yes or no to that, then that kind of means that it calls into question what is more important. Is it the phenotype or is it the skin color? Right? It gets a little bit ridiculous there too. She straightened her hair and lost the black aesthetic. He also could be mixed. Yeah, he could be. Possibly. I mean, we've seen enough pictures to know that like it's completely it's just it's very reasonable. I'm sure there's some pictures that where the lighting makes it a bit trickier or makes her look present more black looking, but like most people in this world would never, they would never think that she is biracial. Like, unfortunately, but that's just what we're. Yeah, like I'm not seeing. I mean, it is possible that her hair, maybe her more natural hair has more of a curlier texture, but like somebody in one of her replies was like, "Oh, the real reason why you got rejected is because you don't wear your blackness because you got straight hair. Because you got straight hair, that means that you're ashamed of your curly hair and you had to hide it because you want to present more white. That's why you're not allowed in a safe space." It's like, well, how ridiculous is that? You have zero clue whether her hair is naturally like this or not, because there are biracial people that have much straighter hair. Even the notion of blackness, right? Like I think the issue as well is that some people in this world, I want to target Americans when I say this, but I want to be fair and not do that because I know that there's other black people around the world that make this mistake, but and I've made this mistake sometimes too, but it's a mistake to think that all black people just have straight up thick afro hair, like really, really tough hair, right? Like sure, the majority may do, but then that ignores all of the different phenotypes that you have in Africa. Some people don't even realize how genetically diverse Africa is, right? And that leads into another problem where we talk about like what does it mean to be black? And then somebody might say somebody of African descent or somebody that has some kind of ethnic background that dates that goes back to Africa to some degree. But then, you look at Ethiopians, you look at people from like where's the place that Myron is from? Sudan, like Sudanese people, right? There's a lot of situations where like a person can present as black, or even Somalians, right? Like Somalians have a lot of them have curly hair, but the texture of their hair is very different too. Very, very different, oftentimes. You know what I mean? Different compared to like a black person from Nigeria or Kenya or something. So, yeah, I just think that a lot of people are. This conversation is extremely nuanced and difficult, and the sad thing is that people treat it as if it's just oh, this is what you need to do to be black. You just do this, just tick this box. If you're doing this thing, if you speak like this, if you look like that, then it's that simple. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one. Oh, I need to quickly run downstairs to grab some food. 1 minute. Black women wear straight hair too. Yeah, but they're not talking about what they wear. They're not talking about like perming or wigs. They're talking about her natural hair. They're saying that they're trying to, some people trying to claim that she straightened her natural hair in a way to hide her curly hair, and therefore that's a sign that she's not really proud of her blackness because she's hiding her curly hair, which we don't even know if she naturally has curly hair anyway. I think West North Africans have straight hair. Yeah, some Africans do. I've heard so many Somalis say they're not. Yeah, 100%. Especially when we were in school, like a lot of Somalians didn't claim that they were black, and that might not even be a bad thing, right? Because again, I think this is a good example of it too. Somalians claiming, or for the Somalians who say that they're not black, should also highlight or hint that the notion of blackness is very complex, right? Like it's not just about being from Africa or having a certain skin tone or a phenotype. Maybe it's all of those things combined, or maybe it's only a few of those things combined, or maybe there's other things going on, right? And you know what? And it wasn't even just Somalians that were saying that we're not black. I remember when I was in school, I remember black people saying that Somalians were not black. They'd be like, "No, you're not black." I remember that. Now, whether obviously we're in school and there's a lot of ignorant people, like we didn't know as much back then. You know what I mean? A lot of people in school back then just think that, oh, to be black, you need to look like you need to fit a certain criteria. You need to look like Wesley Snipes or 50 Cent or Will Smith, right? Like these kinds of complexions, right? Or the range of complexions. You need to have hair like like Afro hair, right? You need to look like a bunch of like reggae artists or whatever. You need to look like Movado, like. So when a Somalian comes along, of course, some people in school back then like, oh, you're not black. You know what I mean? Because every time they think of black, they think of all the hip hop artists that they know, or the black actors that they know, or their parents, their mum and dad, their cousins, right? So yeah, it wasn't even just Somalians. It was a bunch of black people that were like, nah, you're not. You know what I mean? I'm sure other Eastern African countries had a similar thing. I'm sure there's some Ethiopians who got criticized in that way, by in a certain crowd, in a certain time in history, or when they were in school. You know. So, but yeah, man. Moral of the story is, I think that most people, especially in America, it seems that a lot of Americans are not equipped or not ready to explore just how nuanced all of these topics are, you know. And the way you talk, yeah, I was told I was not black because I listened to rock music, exactly. Or like, bro, when I was coming up watching anime and stuff, like I was into anime way before anime was big in the West. So I remember people like, or even the games that I play. Oh, if you don't, oh, bro, oh, what are you playing? What are you playing? Oh, yeah, I'm playing the Final Fantasy 7. Hey, Final what? Bro, you need to play GTA, man. If you don't play GTA, if you don't play Pro Evolution, oh, bro, you're Niki, man. Bro, you don't, bro, like, the things you watch, the music you listen to, the games you play, there was certain game. If you didn't play GTA and, you know, Football Manager or Pro Evolution, you know what I mean? Maybe Gran Turismo, you're okay. But if you were playing anything with a sword and magic, and like some blonde-haired kid with some harnessing the power of the dragon in his sword, you're not black, or you're trying to be white, or you're trying to be Asian or something. It's stupid.